Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and there is a spot that I think could develop, and that's near the Bahamas. By the time we get into late this week, and I mentioned the last few videos, the old fronts that are going to be around. And this time of year, we look closer to home throughout the Caribbean, Gulf, and over toward the Bahamas for development. So late this weekend, there's going to be an area of rain and storms. It could be just north of the Bahamas or across the Bahamas, and there is the potential of development out of that area. So let's get a look at what's going on right now. Let's get back to the tropical satellite, see what's happening Gulf of Mexico. We get back through the Caribbean. Here we are in the Bahamas. Here comes a front that's going to drop in. That's the one that we need to monitor, because these fronts, what happens is they come through the southeast United States and they come toward the Bahamas or parts of the Caribbean, and then they kind of stall out, just kind of wash out, but they leave leftover areas of moisture, and those could develop. Much of the Caribbean, we're in good shape. We've had those scattered areas of rain and storms through Puerto Rico, over toward Jamaica the last few days, down through the ABC Islands. But you get a look now, again, showing some scattered clouds again, U.S. and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, and we'll see a chance of scattered showers and storms even as we get toward Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago as the day goes on. But nothing as far as organization is concerned right now. But this is the area I'm going to monitor very closely, even back through Cuba and swinging back toward parts of Mexico and Belize for that potential of development. Speaking of development, we could see some on the Pacific side. I'm going to get into that. A likely hurricane to form. We'll cover that as well. So let's get a look at this. This is 5 o'clock this evening, and this is the area. This is the old front right through here. You see that? So this spot I'll be watching, and elsewhere you could keep an eye on a spot where you live. Montserrat, get over toward Saba, swing back toward St. Kitts and Nevis, scattered showers and storms. But you see here, as you get through Belize, back through Cuba, near the Cayman Islands, and then over toward the Bahamas. This is by the time we get into later in the day tomorrow. Now, we're looking pretty good over toward Puerto Rico, some green popping up, scattered showers and storms, but here's that better chance of rain and storms. Again, nothing organized at this point, so we'll take you out on time as we get into later this week. This is by the end of the week, so watching this old front, you see how it kind of starts to wash out. And by the way, on the Pacific side, I'm going to dive into this in a second, so hang on toward the end of the video. But as we go out on time, look at that cluster of rain and storms. There'll be a couple of them that try to flare up, and what I need to do is monitor to see if there's going to be any development there. Now, it gets a little tricky this time of year. The development could start over here, or it could be over here. So this is by the time we get into the upcoming weekend. And what does develop, if it kind of misses another front and doesn't swing out to sea, it could lift to the north. So we'll just monitor this area all the way through here. So tropical development is possible, especially in these areas. Scattered showers and storms through the Caribbean as we get into the upcoming weekend. And that may be catching your eye back on the Pacific side. So let me swing to that. We're going to flip over now to the Pacific side. Here we are in Mexico. Lots of moisture around, which is typical for this time of year, but conditions today and tomorrow are becoming more favorable for development, or I don't like that word favorable because we don't want storms, are becoming conducive for development in this spot here. And even the National Hurricane Center has a high chance of formation in this zone. This time of year, some of these develop, and then there's fronts up to the north and they swing back inland. So a less likelihood chance this kind of stays out to sea. And as we get a look at the models, I put on a lot of these models. They should move to the north. It's an invest now, an area of investigation. Should lift to the north, kind of parallel the coast of South Mexico, and then eventually get caught up in a front and swing back inland. Where it moves back inland, a little bit hard to tell. It could be sooner, it could be later. That's kind of down the road, and that's what I'll be monitoring. But conditions conducive for development. Let's get a look at our tropical computer model. This is today, and let's just take you out on time, kind of spin the wheels, getting into tomorrow, and then eventually into Thursday. And that's when we'll start to see some development. So by Thursday, starting to flare up, tropical depression or tropical storm, and then it could be a tropical storm or hurricane. This is by the time we get into the upcoming weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, a hurricane very close to Mexico, but at this point, late weekend and early next week, hard to tell kind of where it will shoot in. Does it shoot in sooner, or does it kind of thread the needle a little bit, stay over water longer, and go more to the north? So it's going to be a wait and see on this, but we've got a couple spots to watch now. The Pacific, I do believe a hurricane forming is likely, and again, watching over on the Atlantic side for the potential of a tropical storm that could develop along our front. All right, so we get a look at the names on the list. We had Carl and Julia recently. The next name on the list for this season is Lisa. Martin and Nicole after that. Hopefully not too many. But again, you can see things are getting busier out there once again. Sometimes we get that secondary surge as we get deeper into the season, and that's what we're starting to see. I'll keep you posted on everything. Thank you for sharing this channel that is about safety. So thank you for getting the word out. I know you've been doing so across the Caribbean, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.